your library news network. I'm Natalie Gregory, and this is my co-anchor.
I'm Robbie Linton. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have some really exciting scores and some matchups to reveal to you. So we're going to move right into the first score.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe versus Michael Bay's Storm of Lightning. Now, if you watched last episode, you know this was one that we were really excited for. Both teams had such a strong showing in each of their individual matchups that we had no idea how this one would go. And let me tell you, it was electric to watch, but hard as well, because it was an absolute landslide.
This one, as you know from the reveal of the previous round, was going to be one that I don't think any of us would have thought in the end is going to have such an outweighed score.
Absolutely not. The final score was 80-30, with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe moving on to Final Four. Amazing, really.
You know, and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and Michael Bay's Storm of Lightning, both from the previous rounds, really proved themselves. And so to have The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, you know, and just show off almost, you know, it was just one of those where the votes were just tallied up and really added up in their favor.
Well, and it seems like the fans, too, the Vaniacs just didn't show up to vote this week, or they were swayed to the side of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It can happen.
It's very true, as we've seen from game to game. And as we move along, we have Beyonders, World Without Heroes versus Magnus Chase, Sword of Summer. Now, just like the last matchup, this one was a tough prediction, but with a score of 60-39, somewhat lopsided, we have Beyonders, World Without Heroes, moving on to the final matchup. So, with the score being about 20 points in favor of Beyonders, World Without Heroes, I think it shows that Magnus Chase, Sword of Summer, is still a heavy hitter and they're going to have another chance in the future.
Absolutely. I think because Magnus Chase is a newer book, it just came out at the end of last year, it might not have gotten the backing to be able to contend with A World Without Heroes, which has been published for a couple of years. Tons of people have read it at our library.
Very true. So they're a young team, and I think they will have their advancement.
Absolutely. So the next round we're going to talk about is the Screwtape Letters versus Sarah. So this one I thought would be a lot closer, considering that both of them come from a religious background, but that absolutely was not the case. With a final score of 77-29, Screwtape Letters is moving on, and Sarah is left in the dust.
The Screwtape Letters were another team that really proved themselves in this round.
Absolutely.
And Sarah did have the backing in the previous rounds, but it seems that the Screwtape Letters just were the powerhouse team.
It's true, and I mean, think about it. These teams have been competing week after week. I mean, it's okay to get a little tired. They made it to the Elite Eight, and only 4 teams can move on to the next round.
Every team has proven themselves,
Absolutely.
and they have gotten to this point, so they should feel very proud. But one team has to move on.
Yeah.
And so, as we move along to the final matchup,
And the most exciting matchup.
Very true. This one was a nail-biter. This one, back and forth throughout the entire game. With a score of 52-51, we have The Hiding Place moving on with this. In a special circumstance, we have to choose, as it was in overtime.
Yeah.
So it leaned towards The Hiding Place.
It's true. We have specific lightning round rules for what happens when we end with a tie. This is the first time this year we've had to enact those. And it was literally anybody's game until we went into that lightning round.
It's very true. So this is one of those games where your vote definitely counted.
Absolutely.
And so we had a really close matchup, and I think, you know, Elantris, as being as popular as it is, you know, it's going to be one that's going to really be another heavy hitter in the future. So we'll see what it can accomplish at that point.
Well, and I don't think that we can discount Elantris. I mean, it had a very strong showing, and I think for those that are fans, this wasn't a disappointment. I mean, they made it, and they made it strong.
Very true. So you should feel proud if you were backing Elantris, and feel even more proud if you were backing the Hiding Place,
True.
which will be moving on.
So let's very quickly go over the final 4 titles, who will be against who, and then I think we'll be done for the evening.
That sounds great.
So, the Hiding Place, our great victor from round 3, will be up against Beyonders, A World Without Heroes. And I think this will be very interesting to watch because we have the nonfiction hard hitter versus a children's book. So that should be very interesting. And then we have the Screwtape letters versus The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Now this one's interesting and has not happened in March Madness Book Edition history thus far at the Logan Library. We will have 2 books by the same author competing against each other. And I don't think anybody could have predicted that these 2 would end up against each other.
It was definitely bound to happen at some point.
Yeah.
And I think for all of you that love those 2 books, you're going to have to choose one or the other so we can have one of the teams move on.
It's true. This cannot be purely an author vote anymore. You have to pick your favorite title.
So, make sure you get in your votes, as we will be revealing what's going to happen in this final round. It is crucial that you get in and get your votes submitted.
Absolutely. We need to know which titles will be competing for the championship overall. Well, I think that's it, Robbie. So let's say goodnight. I'm Natalie Gregory.
And I'm Robbie Linton. Thank you again for joining us on LNN, your